meeting all those criteria, pressing all those buttons for those companies.
So, what you're saying is that any organisation that's beginning to look at this, it's about business, and you're not looking to make any emotional contacts with any particular director who's going to say yes, we'll support them. You need to make the business case.
Well, if I've got a director or if I know somebody, then I will always go in at the top, because history has proven that somebody at the top of a company saying make this work can shorten the life of negotiations, which could take 2 years, down to 3 months. So that's my preferred method, is to get the buy-in at the top, and that's my role. And you can start on many, you can just talk about it, you can go in at an emotional level, particularly if you know that the chairman might have had an epileptic child, or a child who's a survivor or not of childhood cancer, and then match my staff up with their appropriate staff to actually drive it and make it work. And I think the key is all the way through, as you press the particular buttons that work for that company, related back to what it's actually doing for children's health. Because we've got a mantra of transparency here. We don't black hole fundraise and then use the interest. You give me money. Our cost of fundraising is 6 cents in the dollar. Well, it was 5 cents a dollar last year, and it's gone up to 7 cents this year. So we lean and mean, and that money goes straight over that hospital. We work with hospital management committee to make sure it's in the right place, that the right appointtees are made.
And every donor knows where their money's going.
They know where their money's going. We keep the relationship very open between that part of the hospital and the donor. And then we drill down in that company as far as we can get, because I believe that companies are a group of individuals, and you're only as strong with a company as that group of individuals. So you just don't want to have a relationship with a few key managers, which is very easy to establish. What you've got to do is ensure that you drill right down and have a relationship with everybody. So there's no way that new management is ever going to change that, or in the short term is going to change that commitment to your organisation, and that all those people who give $2 a week through payroll deduction, or make those scones, or make gold outfits for our gold week, really know what a difference they're making, so that you get an energy and motivation into it. So that's we spend a lot.
Good organisational business practice, isn't it? Applied from a charitable point of view.
Absolutely.
Could you tell me a bit more about the research that's required? The internet has made a huge difference to research. So first of all, we go on and see, well, it's two-pronged. We go and see what they're doing in the area of corporate philanthropy, where they've got their own foundation, what all the criteria are, whether it's worth the work, because a lot of those, there's still that thing here in Australia of the scattergun approach, and we'll give a very small amount to a whole lot of charities, look good, they think, and make impact nil. And we don't, unless we can change that within a company, we don't want that farmer 10,000. What we want is, in this particular area of corporates, we want maybe $100,000 a year. But when you started out all those years ago, was that how the charity
I went for the big bucks every time. And I provided an events program that tapped into the smaller amounts, so that I could knock them all off in one go. Hence, we had the birth of the Gold Dinner, which is the biggest fundraising dinner in Australia. Raised 3.5 million net profit on the night last year. No pledges, no nothing, money on the night. And that is because we charge a squillion, and it is the best, and the company pays for the table and their marketing budget, and then out of their philanthropy budget they spend money. They put very high profile guests they want to see associated with their brand on the table. They have paid nothing to be there. They haven't paid the $2,000 a seat.
The company
and they spend. So you're getting money from each. So that has actually attracted 50 or 60 companies that we average 20 to 25,000 from a year through that event, and it's sold out year upon year.
How many people attend?
500. So that takes care, and then we have a younger stand-up silver party which raises about $250,000 a year, and then we've got a number of events for the very young professionals to try and engage them with us and philanthropy at a very early stage in their working career. Now the Y generation is philanthropic, but we started this 14 years ago, so we made some good inroads before somebody called it the Y generation and identified that they were philanthropic.
Where do you see fundraising going in the next sort of...
It's extraordinary. When I started, I restructured and modelled this organisation on a business model, and very simply as an advertising or marketing agency, because I believe this is all relationship based, and you have your account executive or director, and they facilitate everything in that company behind you, and so that worked well for me with fundraising and developing relationships. But we were like this, and everybody said I'd fail because I didn't go the traditional charity role, and I didn't have major gift donor giving executives. I had sponsorship, and we had no budget to promote the hospital that had been renamed, or our foundation, which I only see as a vehicle to the hospital. So that was a chase. We did everything in the name of the hospital, hence the commitment to events. And I employed people from outside the not-for-profit sector, which didn't really, there was no courses that you could really do. It was
I think Sally's
a last option for people when you've been kicked out of business, failed as a consultant, then you probably ended up with a charity. And there was a perception of how easy it was. And in fact, it's the hardest thing you ever do. So I employed people like Sally outside the industry. But in the last 14 years, we have come as one with business, the good charities, the smart charities, the ones doing it well. We're no longer charities, we're not for profit. People don't expect we're doing it as an act of love. They accept that we're senior, well-paid executives, maybe not paid comparable to some in corporate Australia, but certainly we're well paid. We work very hard, and we're all operating on a business model, and there are courses. You can go to QUT in Brisbane, you can go to a number of places. We've got an institute that might be a bit of a fundraising institute of Australia, which I think is a bit of a lame duck, but at least it's there, and it's growing in strength. And we rarely advertise the position because we get so many approaches to work for the organisation. I've resigned. We've got headhunters. There's something like 70 top applications without even putting in an advertisement, and they've had such a wall of approach or of interest that it's actually really delayed the process. I thought giving 4.5 months notice was more than adequate, and they won't have anyone in before I leave, and I'll now be consulting through until they get somebody. And that is such a change in 10 years. There's respect. And I think that traditionally people just thought it was something that was feel good. Whereas I think that we now quantify what a difference philanthropy makes.
And would you say that are there any areas which are impossible to raise for you?
No. Nothing's impossible if you're creative.
Say, of course.
It's got to be a package. It's got to be creative. It's got to be honest. And sometimes just a byline or something, or the face. I mean, orthotics. How boring! Making moles for feet in a back room. They need more tools. I mean, it's the most unsexy thing. And yet we managed to make that quite sexy, because in that case we concentrate on the patients who've survived trauma or whatever it might be, and what a difference that department is making to them. And it is this lowly or back room in the organisation that's absolutely integral. And then we make an argument to the back room in that organisation. And we succeed in selling it. And 2000,
we were trying to raise money for child abuse, which politically they thought was a bad name, so they changed it to child prevention. Child prevention, which is a stupid name. And we had our goal dinner, and I wanted to make it, and everyone said, no, it's unsexy, it's under the carpet, we couldn't raise money, it's not a motive, you can't do it. So I said, watch me. And we raised, the first time we hit $1 million net profit. We had the Commissioner of Children there, and she would, Gillian Carver, she would tell you that that is the time that it became sexy to support it.
Yeah.
We had the problems, each problem, we looked at a creative way. The first thing is you can't have patients because of privacy issues, but they can tell their stories through art because we have art therapy. So I got all their art and I edited down the stories of and I asked them to write, go to a patient, here's your artwork, can you write down what's significant about that painting? And could you do me a painting of where you are now? So what we did is we got sort of before and after story.